Welcome to Episodes from the Garage, the official, unofficial voice of the Elite Girls Rugby League. 11 teams from Connecticut to South Carolina and some of the best girls high school rugby in the States. Listen in for game recaps, stories, interviews, and more from in and around the e-GRL. Episodes from the Garage is made possible with support from Basecamp 31, a New Jersey nonprofit that brings individuals and businesses together to invest in healthy community and personal development through shared human experience. And now, Episode 4.
All right, welcome back, fellers. Jam-packed agenda today, but let's kick it off with going around the horn. Chris, kick us off, man.
Chris O'Brien, Production O'Brien.
Brian Ahern.
Bill Dobbs, one button to push.
Stefan Grandi.
Mike Eisenhart.
All right, welcome back, guys. So let's run through the quick agenda. Well, let's call it, it's a quick agenda, but there's a lot to talk about, right? So we're going to talk about the inaugural e-GRL Selects weekend down in Tampa, which was fantastic. Hats off to USA Rugby and Martha Danes. Thank you for the invite and looking forward to next year. e-GRL season, we'll chat a little bit about that. Heading down to Charlotte for Ruggerfest, we'll talk there and talk about the teams that we'll be facing up against from the e-GRL League, and then some other faces that we'll see, which will be great. And then we'll talk about the season opener on April 2nd and some friendlies prior to that. So, Mike, Bill, I'm going to hand the reins off to you guys to kind of kick us off on what we did in Tampa last weekend. And let's start with a little bit of the history of what's been going on in Tampa and then the e-GRL involvement the first year.
Yeah, so this event, I don't even know what you'd call it, but it's kind of like a friendly kind of a scenario, regional teams. It's been going on for a few years. I don't honestly know how many, but at least since 2020. And Midwest Thunderbirds and their program go down to Florida and they play against USA Rugby South Selects, which is the Panthers, in their program. And I think what they've tried to do is do like a high school matchup and then also like a U23 matchup or U20s at some level. And so they invited us to attend this year and be a part of it. Now, we obviously don't have a U23 team, but we figured we could put together a high school team and represent our part of the country. There is no Northeast Academy anymore, so those who follow the girls' game know that's kind of been folded. And so maybe we fill that gap. But either way, they asked us to come down and be a part of it. And I think the hope there is in the future that it'll be more teams and maybe it'll even be kind of like a multi-region 4 or 5 teams coming down and representing the states.
100%. Hey, Bill, turning it over to you, your expectations for the weekend, and, which I believe you had said, I want us to be competitive. But let's build off of that, right? And I would say we could say comfortably competitive on Saturday and significantly more so on Sunday.
It was good. So Saturday I'll talk about, and I think that was against Midwest first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went out there.
Tough opener.
Not knowing how anybody's going to play together.
Yeah.
We had, they got, I think, three breakaways on missed tackles or just an overload, whatever it was. And I think the final was 19-0 in that game. I was okay. The girls, the contact area was incredible. They showed that they were not afraid to hit. Every girl on our team. Actually, every girl out there,
yeah.
Not even our team. All 3 teams, the contact area was great all weekend.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's worth noting because, sometimes I think we're getting looked at or having conversations with players and families who maybe aren't at this level yet. And when they're asking about what the difference is, I would say the contact was the difference.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was no one out there shying away from it. Shoulders in, hardcore stuff. Every single time the ball carrier goes in, there's somebody putting a thump on. I mean, it's a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, and you can add to that, it's like if P then Q, contact equals tempo, right? And you could see a difference in the tempo of that game, right? There wasn't a lull in the action unless there was a whistle. Like these athletes, both sides of the ball were like, let's go. It's game time. We got how many minutes, 25 minutes when we started, and we're going to make the most of it while we're out there. And some amazing rugby for certain.
Game 2 was against USA South. We put a try in. It's 5-0 to the last 10 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
Tough one.
They ended up getting a try under the posts, kicked the conversion, final
It's
whistle
all right,
blew.
big fella.
No, it was. I was happy with the way we played. I really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those tough losses.
We just panicked a little bit
Yeah.
at the end. You know, they started pushing at us a little bit, and you know, kids started to panic a little bit. The ball started moving around, and yeah, you know, that's the kind of stuff you expect from a high schooler.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and you know, let's call it right. It was great pressure from Midwest, right? You know, pardon me, South, and you know that's part of the game, right? And it's like
Yeah.
there was no give, and you know something, you're going to bend, you're going to break, you know, and they kept that pressure up. So
But that was a big thing. We improved from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah.
A lot of different players, some of the same players, because we kept everybody equal minutes for the weekend.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Definitely Saturday. Sunday was close. Some got more than others, but it's just the way it worked out.
yeah.
But we wanted to make sure everybody had pretty much even playing time.
well, listen, hats off to you guys, the whole coaching staff. You guys here today, Jeff, Shane, and Brian, who aren't with us today, but we'll see next weekend. Nice job making sure that all the players saw the field for meaningful minutes, and that's not an easy thing to do. And you guys did a tremendous job at it.
Yeah, absolutely. It you know, one of the things that we talked about before going was making sure that these kids all got the equal minutes. Like that was a big thing that you guys were pushing, and
Right.
it was the right thing to do because we're putting them in front of college coaches, and you want to make sure that all of these families are putting the same money and the same time and the same effort in, that they're getting as much playing time as every kid deserves. I think you guys did a great job of balancing the play and making sure that everybody got to be seen, and moving people into positions that maybe they don't normally play, but they were well able to handle the positions you moved them into, and I thought that was done really well.
There was actually a lot of thought that went into that, too. I know we talked about it quite a bit. And, yeah, that going down there, you don't want a kid paying all that money to get down there, and the family goes down there, and they get 5 minutes of playing time.
Right,
To me, that's
right.
just not right.
Right.
Yep. There wasn't a drop off. That's the wild part.
There was
right?
none.
Is that, you know, you kind of expect sometimes in these scenarios that you might have a few of those standout players, and so okay, if those standout players aren't on the field, then what happens? I didn't see it.
No.
You had 26 solid ruggers
Yeah.
out there. Yeah, and that's a great point, Mike. There was no drop-off in the intensity, the tempo, the contact area,
Yeah.
the skills. Like, it was hats off, ladies, because you guys were fun to watch.
Game 3, we played Midwest again, and right from the beginning, they were taking it to us. I think they got up 28-0
Yeah.
on us pretty quick.
I'm glad you
And-
actually brought us back there.
And then something changed in the last 10 minutes. Our girls started finding a little bit of a rhythm. And they started getting used to each other, and something just clicked. We scored, and we got a conversion, and that was the end of the game. But we all noticed that something changed during that. So then our final game, we got to play this USA South again, and we ended up winning that game 12-0. And you saw the way we changed just by a couple games. We didn't really make many adjustments when they came off the field. We talked to a few people about different things, but really no adjustments. We had our plan for day one with who's playing where, how many minutes they're getting, so they're equal with the other ones, and we did that. We didn't really have any injuries except for Abby Ammerman. We thought she broke her nose. It wasn't broken, thank God.
Yeah.
And looked like it hurt, though.
Friendly fire.
Yeah, friendly
Yeah.
fire. 2 Morris girls, too, colliding.
And so, you know, coming in, we were the second game to play on that first day. So, you know, South and West were already playing each other. Then we went in and played West. So they had already, you know, we came in with nerves. Obviously, it's first game, first time this is ever happening for those girls on the e-GRL selects. And they came in a little nervous. And as the
many told
games
me.
went on, and as the games went on, you saw them kind of put the line in the sand and say, okay, we're done with this first chapter. We're moving on. And then, you know, they became more and more of a team as it went on.
And I'll tell you, I saw something, and I mentioned it to all you guys when we were down there, right? The first night when we were down there, you know, all the athletes were very cordial to one another, super friendly, that kind of stuff. But you could see them kind of breaking off in their comfortable areas, right, with the athletes they normally play with.
Sure.
after day one, Saturday, we're getting dinner ready over by the grill, and I look over at the pool, and there's 26 ruggers soaking their bones in the pool, laughing, slapping each other on the back. I said to all you guys, tomorrow's a different day, and that definitely showed. That cohesion, that gel that we were looking for, came out. So let's talk a little bit there.
You're right. On Friday, they all kind of fell in with their clubs.
Yeah.
And parents too. Saturday was a whole different story. After the matches, the parents were mingling together. A bunch of them were singing karaoke together. I know the coaches had to sing a little karaoke, thanks to Reagan, and we had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, they really bonded and they became friends. And the thing I got a kick out of most was after it was all said and done, see a bunch of girls from all different teams, no Morris players in there, and we come walking up and they go, "Oh, we're plotting against Morris right now." Like,
Game planning.
okay.
I think that's where everybody started looking at each other instead of saying, "Oh, I'm in my Morris jersey," or "I'm in my Aspetuck jersey." I'm in my e-GRL jersey, and left to right and behind and in front, you're my teammate. And that was a hell of a game.
And then Mike and we both were separated. Go ahead, you could say it.
Say what?
How we ditched you.
Oh, okay. We're just gonna throw some salt right in that wound, are we? Oh, okay. Well, welcome back.
Yeah, so production O'Brien pulled a fast one. He was supposed to be driving a bunch of the kids, but he wanted to go download all the video. And so he goes, "Mike, can you take these kids so I can go and download all the video?"
Hey, look over there.
Then
That's code for cold beer.
the one thing Mike said when we were leaving the field was, "Hey, don't leave with my wallet." We were about a mile away. We had to turn around and bring his wallet back because we remembered, oh, we got Mike's wallet. Oh, that would be bad. We're ditching him and taking his wallet. Good thing we didn't make it pay for lunch.
Too.
Good thing I was there to support you, Mike, with
So-
15 kids in my van.
So all the coaches except for Mike and Brian ended up in Ybor City and just walking around. But then we get back to the hotel. Mike goes, "Hey, I have an idea." And I go, "So do I." It scares me that we think alike now because it was exactly the same idea with roster moves and a couple different things. And that brings us into
What's happening
Sunday.
to you?
If I can get your energy, I would love to have that energy.
Meanwhile, this guy is suffering from a massive cold, and he's here setting it all up. So hats off to you, Mike. You don't miss a beat. Let's get into Sunday.
Sunday, we started out with Midwest in game one, and the girls played fantastic. We had our opportunities, just missed them. I think we stepped out of bounds on one, like at the 5 meter.
Yep.
We had a penalty, very kickable towards the end of the game, and I know Mike's screaming on the sideline, go for points, and I'm going to let the kids make the decision. I know he hates when I do that, but
That's sad.
needless to say, the game ended 0-0 tie. Improvement.
Yeah.
Big improvement
Yeah.
from day one.
Yeah.
And we saw it.
Brian and I were talking about it on the sidelines as we're calling the game, and it's like we saw the difference from day one to day two from a continuity perspective, a shape perspective, and certainly that line speed. And I know you picked up on it like first thing in the morning, and we're like, "Do you see?" You whispered over to me like, "Did you see the difference here?" And
Yeah, for sure. You could see that the team had gelled. That first game Saturday, they started off a little nervous, and then they started to get their rhythm, and the rhythm continued into Sunday. And the lineup changes you guys made was almost, and you always worry about lineup change because are you messing with the gel?
Yeah.
You know the players, you know how good they are, but are you messing with the gel? And actually, the gel got better. So
We noticed coming up on defense, they were coming up, but they'd get to a certain point and they'd stop. So
Yeah,
we
that was
wanted them.
odd.
We wanted them to keep coming forward. They picked it right up.
and it seemed to work in every game after. And it was tough on Sunday because the games were shorter, and
Unlucky.
it's really, really difficult for 15s because
it takes
there's
10
no-
minutes to get warmed up.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the continuity just improved as these kids got more comfortable with each other, and that's only going to continue. I'll commend you, Dobbs, for your coaching style because you have a tendency to let kids play. When you're running practice, you're giving instruction. When they're playing in the game, you're letting them play, and I think that's the one thing that Morris does well as a team is they're allowed to play what's in front of them, and I think that just continued into the e-GRL. So.
and that's one comment I made to the team after they said they were planning against Morris afterwards. I said, you could plot against us all you want, but you don't know the decisions that the person with the ball is going to make.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. So you could game plan against us as much as you want, but you don't know what's going to happen. We don't.
Yeah.
We give a little cues. I'm like, if this defender does this, here's your options.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
could just take it and run. Or you could kick, or you could do this. So, yeah, so down under friend, who I'm not going to mention because he'll get mad at me if I mention him. You're right. I agree with you.
It's a good
I
friend.
hate to admit this.
How about that? Wow.
You're right. It doesn't happen often.
Yeah. Let's stay on the mic with Bill. Let's talk about the pack over the weekend, right? So off to you.
Yeah, so the forward pack, I thought they played great. I really did.
I agree.
They real tough in the scrums. Our lineouts, yeah, we need work. And there really wasn't that many, but the couple we did win, we got into the mall, and the mall was our mall
Legit.
was good.
Legit.
It was good. I was happy about that. But once they figured out that we have to be on top of the ball carrier to ruck over it when they go down or drive them through the contact, and they got that figured out. Our pods, every time we got to a pod, we're getting 5-meter gain, got to go forward and defense on the back foot, and it was working out great.
Yeah.
Especially end of day one, all day.
That to me, I left the weekend feeling like I can't wait to get back after it because I want to work on those little things.
Yeah.
Like it was like those little details. We just didn't have the time or the ability to get the kids together to do it. But man, I hope we get the chance to, because if we do, there are going to be some battles.
Yeah.
Heard you having the conversations, and we saw it come to life, right in game one of Sunday, of the Sunday series. So
Yeah, it was pretty cool. There was a moment between the games on Sunday, and hat tip to Brian Melody because he sort of became the motivational speaker for the
was
group.
wonderful.
It was wild. I mean, it was an awesome, message. But really, at the heart of it was, hey, like you all came here as individual, teams and individuals playing for those teams, but now you're really playing for this badge, and let's make this count. And it was a great message. And I think the kids responded. I really do. I think that there was a certain pride in playing for the selects, which was different. Yeah. And so I do think that bonding was big. And, for what it's worth, we ask each parent and athlete for feedback. And one of the things that came back twice was, boy, it'd be great if we could get a scrimmage or two before we go down there next time.
yeah.
I'm not sure how we're going to do that. I've got to find a college or somebody. But
Yeah.
I think it's a really great point. The idea of like, man, if we did have a little continuity because we played once or twice together, that could have really changed some things.
The landscape of
Yeah.
the weekend, without question. Yeah, and just for the record, I just pulled the John Sutherland and did the badge.
Going back to Coach Melody. So, first of all, the guy could sing Black Sabbath better than anybody I've ever heard.
Better than Ozzy.
He killed it in karaoke. That's one. But his speech, he started out with, yesterday you all hated each other, and tomorrow you can go back to hating each other. I had no idea what was going to come out of
where's
his
this
mouth.
going?
And I found it funny. Then he went into this whole thing like you guys talked about, and I think I had tears in my eyes
It was
walking away
awesome.
from it.
Yeah.
The coaches that we had for the selects.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned them. Wonderful, wonderful coaches, and we got along so well. It was like they're coaching with us or we're coaching with them for years.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I got to thank all of them. They were wonderful.
That's off now, though. We're back to hating you, Melody.
Yeah, we don't like you anymore.
That's awesome. Somewhere he's stewing.
One more thing,
Sure.
I think we didn't get to do it today, but a huge shout out to Jeff and Steamroller Rugby who, supported us with the new jerseys for the selects. Fantastic. They looked awesome on the team. And also just to get our merch that he brought down. It was a
Quality
Coaches
gear.
really good
Stewart,
quality
nice.
stuff. So we look forward to continuing to work with Jeff. So
Thank you, Jeff.
Jeff, your
For sure.
ad can go right here.
for a small fee. Now let's talk players, and I'm going to throw one out there, which I think will be easy conversation. Jenny Weiner from Aspetuck. Who, Brian?
Yeah, for sure. Jenny was, one of those kids we would always try and game plan against playing Aspetuck because there was one or two kids there that were just top level, high school athletes. And she's one of those players that you always saw around the breakdown, But this weekend, she was that first kid on the breakdown. She was sealing off rocks. She was driving over rocks. She was, it wasn't just the ball carrying or the kicking duties that she was taking on. It was pure leadership in getting down and doing the work.
Yeah.
And it was really, really nice to see a kid that just, you're kind of, you don't really know them when they're on the other team. You know of them, and you kind of have a personality built in your head of, okay, this kid's really tough to play against. We have to make sure that we game plan against her. And then you see how great the kid is in supporting their teammates and just making sure their teammates are better because of her on the field.
She is a selfless player. Like, she's wearing that number on her back, and you can count on her. And don't count her out.
I mean, those of us who've been around for a bit, like, shouldn't be surprised, right? I mean, so
Right.
when they brought their first team up, that first year, I mean, she's a freshman. And
She stood out.
She was stunning our seniors at that point, like knocking them backward. Like, well, okay.
The kid is very coachable,
Yeah.
and she'd come off the field, come right up to me. This was going on. This was going on. This was going on with our players, and this is what they were doing. We have to adjust for this. And she's giving me play by play right off the field.
Yeah.
Dream. It's
awesome.
a coach's dream.
Yeah.
Let me throw another name out there, because I think this kid made us on the sidelines shake our heads all day long at how well she was playing, and that was Nola Flynn. I mean,
sure.
Holy good God. And a freshman, no less.
Our only freshman.
Unbelievable. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, she's got a lot of the skills.
Wow.
Right? I mean, and some of them she couldn't even really utilize. I know she was dying to box kick a little bit because she has it. So that's a great thing as a scrum half. I mean, like, to be able to box kick as a freshman. Didn't have the opportunity, but has a great pass from both hands.
Yeah.
Good knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, she's tough. She got hit hard a couple
yeah.
of times. I mean, she popped right back up, man. She got right back into that game, and it was like, didn't miss a beat. So I love when you see that kind of a scrappy player, undersized by comparison who she's out there playing against. But, to be a freshman playing at that level and not be intimidated and still be able to command a game, hats off to her.
Hats off to her is right.
Another one very coachable.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, look, and let's talk about, we talked about not skipping a beat when you make the substitutions, and that brings us to Anna Kugelman coming in at 9, right? And coming back from a pretty good collarbone break that took her out of the end of last season, and I think came back with fire in the belly and a lot of gusto.
Yeah, Anna is a player for me who I hope the colleges are paying attention. I hope they're watching her.
Same.
Because she commands a game. Like, she understands what's going on in the field, and she's telling people where to be, and she's right. And that's a rare skill. Like, you don't see that very often. So I don't know. I don't know who she's been talking to or who's recruiting her, but I hope someone's paying attention to the knowledge of the game, because, to have a 9 who can truly engineer a game, it's a big deal. I mean, it makes a big difference when you have someone who has that confidence and knowledge, and she really does.
Yeah, she is definitely a field marshal for sure.
I think she gets overlooked because of her size,
Yeah.
but she's probably the toughest player on the field.
Courageous. Yeah,
And
for sure.
we see it time and time again. I think the first time she wowed me as her coach for Morris was we took Emma Gamboa was playing her last game. Mm-hmm. Emma Gamboa is at West Point right now, scrum half. She played her last game for us, and we took her off the field with like 20 minutes left to go. And go ahead, Anna, show us what you could do. We didn't miss a beat. Yeah. I went to her after her first game on Saturday, and I took her aside and I said, "I love the way you ran the whole game. Mm-hmm. You did everything that we want you to do, and I'm so proud of you." And she was like, "I did all right." I'm like, she's also her own
Tough
toughest
critic. Man. She's tough critic.
Oh,
but
it's hard on herself.
The kid gets it. She really just gets it.
Yeah, I would say that's one thing that we almost had, good problem with selects was we had a lot of number 9s who could play.
Yeah.
I mean, Sophia Florio, who
She
is from
did
Vienna,
fantastic.
did great. We actually moved her to 10 because we wanted her to get some minutes and try some different things, and she was fine with it. She's like, yeah, sure, and did great. It's like, truly is a little bit of a coach's dream when you have kids who just, yeah, sure, wherever you want to put me. I mean, listen, we made that move with Jaden and put her out on the wing. It's a kid who 3 weeks prior was a flanker. She had never even played in the backs.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah, you want to make me a 13? Like, yeah, okay, no
give it a
problem.
shot, yeah.
And then she plays there and does fine. And then, like, right before Sunday, I'm like, hey, listen, we're going to push you out on the wing because we really need someone who can physically mark this player. Like, she's big and strong and fast, and you're one of the only players, I think, who has all of those things for us. She didn't say, like, don't put me on the wing. She was like, yeah, sure, coach, I'll play wherever you want me to play.
Wherever you need.
Give me 30 of those.
There's gems at the youth level, and we just need to recognize them. The team that probably stood out the most was the Midwest, the Baby Birds. And, they had a couple of studs. They really had a couple of fantastic players. Like their 15, Colby Westerberg, and the 14, I think, Serena Verona.
Vuolona? Apologies, young lady.
Yeah, sorry about the messing up the name. But, my God, that kid had speed, top-level speed. Like, she was probably within a couple of steps 5 meters ahead of anybody that was around. We made a little joke on Saturday that you probably don't like contact because you've never been touched, and you're a kicker's dream because most of your tries are probably scored under the post because you're just that far ahead of everybody.
Might love contact, just doesn't know.
Yeah, but no, this kid's definitely one to watch.
Just a sharp runner. It's Mike. I think you said it earlier. It was 2 steps and at full speed. There was no gear change. There was one gear and it was high all day long.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we had to game plan against. So Dobbs mentioned the idea. If we came back with an idea, the idea was if we don't figure that kid out, like,
we're in trouble.
We're not going to be able to play against this team. Like,
Yeah.
She's that good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's awesome.
And
what
that
a weapon.
14-15 combination of Vuolona and Westerberger was really. We've said it 1,000 times. Make it 1,001. They were fun to watch.
You also had Maddie Doyle from Doylestown, slotting in at 10, and she made some nice breaks and just made good decision making.
Yeah.
We get the luxury of watching Nessa McLaughlin play a lot. So, and we get to watch her at practice, get to watch her, really work hard. So, seeing her on the selects was really, really nice, and seeing like her level of commitment, her just ability to command, control, and, just drive a team forward. It's great to see, and it's going to be a great thing to see her at Harvard next year.
She's another one who did a lot of the layman's work, I think. She was at a lot of the breakdowns very early, driving people through the contact, because she knows our game plan. That was a luxury for the Morris girls. Everything is what we did with the selects is what we do at Morris. So the Morris girls, they're actually helping us teach at practice. So it was nice. Liz Hanson, no, you have to do it like this. I'm going, right on, Liz. That's great. Keep telling them all.
Yeah.
I've never heard her get down in the moment, or it's never a come on, guys. It's like, let's go, Ruggers. Like, we got this. And I love that positivity that she brings to the game. And I saw that as well with Abby Ammerman before she unfortunately was taken out of the game with a collision that almost took her nose sideways. She was the same thing, she was that vocal second row, and it's meant with love. But we were commenting on that on the sidelines too. It's like it's exactly what you want to see from those 4s and 5s, right? Is like that kind of that passion, that driving the game forward, keeping heads up.
So, do we want to speak to the other e-GRL 5? You mentioned the 4. Let's speak to the 5.
Please, yes.
So, sorry, Miss Allen, we kept calling you O'Leary all weekend long.
Both of us. So.
And while O'Leary played great at number 3, we were called. It was tough because it was blonde hair sticking out of scrum cap. So we called O'Leary all over the field. While O'Leary played phenomenally all weekend, Alan, you had a great game too.
And as did you. As you had a great weekend, absolutely, and great call to call that out because I think we were both kind of like shucksing when we got back.
we were, and we did the best. We did the best we could calling the names we had. And I'm sure we screwed it up more than we even know, but we'll get better at it.
Natalie, these guys have been beating themselves up about getting your name wrong for the last week.
Don't worry, Natalie. This is their last podcast. They've both been fired.
Pink slips.
Pink slips. That's all right. I can use some time off. I think it's a miss if we don't talk about this player, but Balladaris in the centers.
Oh,
right?
Hammer.
She hits.
Wow.
Another one I'm not looking forward to playing against.
Yeah. Great family, super kid, and just man, tough on the field, tough. Like,
Yeah.
talk about running with a chip on your shoulder, right? Like,
I mean, we haven't produced it yet, but when we produce the top recruits, she's going to be up there.
oh,
You know, when we put together something that says these are the kids who are recruitable that programs should be looking at, and she's too young. I mean, she's only a sophomore.
yeah.
They can't even really talk to her
She's
yet.
only a sophomore.
But
that's
I mean, like, she is
And a wrestler too, right?
Yeah, she is near the top of that heap. Yeah.
yeah.
Another nice, coachable kid.
Yeah, great family too. Enjoyed hanging out with her mom and dad as well.
Watching Davies on the wing, she was phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
kid,
Absolutely.
you know, you expect a winger to try and dodge. She just ran over, and this girl was expecting her to dodge, and she just ran straight at
Right
her.
thrower.
Yeah.
You know,
She's got a
on her
bright,
birthday.
On her
she's
birthday.
got a
On her
bright
birthday.
future.
Yeah.
I mean,
She does
she's
have a
only been
bright
playing the
future.
game for a year.
I had a coach text me say she's going to have a very good collegiate career.
I believe that.
I'm not going to say the coach,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree.
So
Again, I keep saying it, coachable.
Yeah.
why don't we pull the whole weekend together? Let's talk about like favorite moment of the weekend for you guys, and we can take a moment to pause while we do that. We can do the interlude music, but I certainly have a few in mind. But you guys want me to go first?
Are we
or-
talking on field or off field?
both? Both.
Oh God.
Off field. We're not talking off field.
I'll kick it off, and mine's off field. And for me, it was when I saw all the ruggers in the pool together after a hard day on the field, and I looked over and I said, "That's what you want to see, right? That's the e-GRL select squad coming together 100%." And so I kind of have that burned in my mind's eye, forever moving forward. It's like when you see something like that, the magic's going to happen, and it certainly did the next day. And that's where I'll leave it for me. And hats off to the coaches and the athletes. Great weekend.
On field. Last game on Sunday was over. We're circled up. Midwest and USA South are under the goalpost getting pictures and calling our girls over. So we told the girls, go get in that picture. Coaches weren't going to be in it. It was just all the kids. I'm walking over. I put my sunglasses on my head, and I'm walking over, and I'm looking, and I don't remember who I said it to. It was either Brian, Jeff, it could have been one of you. I have no idea. Because all the coaches were kind of walking together, and I go, that's some of the best high school players in the country. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, the sunglasses had to go back on at that moment. I welled up, and I started choking. I had tears in my eyes. If you know me, that never happens. and I just got caught in that moment. And
Yeah.
it was so nice to be a part of something like this and being a coach of all this and looking at these kids and just thinking, look what in 10 years, some of these kids are going to be on that World Cup field.
Heck yeah.
100%.
Very good possibility. And we're a part of this.
Yeah.
100%.
Never in a million years did I ever think be a part of something like this. Never.
No,
And
no.
I think that's what caught me up. But so happy for the kids.
Yeah.
It's not even us. I mean, we're old. we're old. And that's what it comes
Speak
down
for
to.
yourself, man.
We're old, broken down,
You know. But for me, that summed it up. Just looking at that, them getting
Love
the
it.
pictures taken.
Love it.
Then right after, the college coaches all over 'em.
Yeah,
was
that's
great.
probably, I would say that's probably my off-field moment is after those games and you see, there's some good programs there hanging around and they're just chatting with them and having those conversations and, talk to a few coaches and, hey, could you have this player come over and introduce themselves? Can you make sure that player comes over and says hello? And that's awesome. I mean, it's just super cool to have that
Yeah.
come together.
Yeah.
Yeah. On field though, and this is, just I don't know, probably not as
Bet it's
big
the
of a
backs.
not as big of a moment as it probably seems, but the on-field moment for me was we put a lineup together for USA South that included what I would consider to be two undersized centers.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, Annie Huddle at 12 and Abby Cirillo at 13. Those are two pretty small centers, especially compared to the two that we ran against Midwest. And they were feeling it. Like and as we were warming up, they're kind of looking at me like, "You want me playing where? Like what? Like, are you serious? Like, when's the punchline coming?" And but then after the game, and I told them, "Say you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine." after
He tells
the game,
everybody that.
yeah, you're fine. After the
Ask
game,
Nelson.
though,
Ask Nelson.
they came up and they had these huge smiles on their faces, and it was like you could tell that they knew they did fine,
Yeah.
and they believed it at that moment that, hey, I can play here, like I can play in this position. And I told them, I said, listen, make some adjustments, use your strengths. Your strengths are your acceleration and your speed. Don't try to play a size game. That's not your game. Your game is speed. And they both did, and they both had like a satisfaction, almost like a confidence. And that to me was awesome. I walked away, I was like, that's what this is about. You just now believe that you can play at this level in that position. And like that's never going to be something you lose. Like
Yeah.
those two are going to go, and their game is now, their trajectory as a player is going to change because it turned out okay, and they now believe in themselves that little bit more, which is awesome.
It's funny, Mike, because you actually stole my thunder on that
Oh,
one, because I was actually
sorry.
going to talk about Annie Huddle and Abby Cirillo. It was really, really good to see on the field. I would say the off the field, which is technically still right by the sideline, but I thought the moments in talking to the college coaches and what they were actually seeing on the field, and they were really, really impressed. And we talked to Greg from Davenport, yeah, and he was talking. The one thing that really impressed him was the level of tackling, and he said, you're used to watching high school games where the tackling is a little bit non-committal and things like that, and I'm paraphrasing, sorry, Greg, but he was really impressed with the line speed and the tackling and just the commitment of the kids, and talking to Lance and others as well.
Look, I know that we wanted to apologize, or certainly I did, on behalf of the lack of a live stream. When we got to the venue on the Saturday morning and we had everything ready to go, I didn't realize until we kind of started to hit live streaming and the internet connection just wasn't quite adequate. And then people are coming up to me at the camera saying, there's 31 people on the live stream waiting. I've got family at home. And I'm just like, sorry.
Don't worry,
So,
31 people that were waiting. He got fired
yeah.
too.
Two other names I would call out from the photography side. Holly Davies,
Yeah.
who was part of our crew.
Wonderful, yeah.
Did a great job helping us out with the camera action. And we also had a gentleman called Brad Lawrence came up to me on the Sunday, I think it was, who offered a chance to share photos he was taking as well. So we're hopefully getting those out that they come in the last day or so. So thank you both for volunteering your support there. So, but otherwise, I think it was a great weekend. And when do we do it next?
Before we transition, I just want to thank everybody from Martha Danes, the coaches of USA South,
Good one.
The coach of Midwest Baby Birds,
Yep.
all of our players, of course, all the players, the college coaches, and all the parents.
Yeah.
We had such a great group of parents.
And great way to sum it up. Absolutely. There's it's that's what rugby's about, right? It's the fun playing the game, but it's the fun on and off the field as well. Let's get into the e-GRL season. Mike, I think we heard word that Raleigh is kicking off against Cardinals tomorrow. So really, the season opener.
Yeah, season opener is tomorrow, so Sunday. I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
Two good teams. I mean, Raleigh, they have some athletes this year. I think they have a more senior lineup. I feel like the Cardinals may have graduated off some of their top players.
Okay.
So they might be retooling a little bit. Again, I'm just speculating, though,
Yeah.
because we won't know until we see it. I'm hoping somebody videos it because I'm really anxious to see it.
Certainly looking forward to that season kicking off, right? And then on April 2nd, we have the curtain raiser, courtesy of Stephen Lewis and Rugby New York. Who are the teams lining up for that one on the first weekend?
Morris versus Aspetuck.
It's gonna be a good one.
Doylestown versus Play Rugby USA.
That's right. Yep.
Another good one. Four solid sides. Play Rugby coming back after a short hiatus. Really happy to see that team across the
Same.
river coming back with all those athletes. It was a shame that it dipped off the way that it did, but hats off to the coaching staff and the organizers over there for, Phoenix rising from the ashes, and glad to see you guys back in Jersey. So looking forward to seeing you guys this season. Yeah, that's going to be a great weekend. Really looking forward to getting over to the Rugby New York's new stadium in Mount Vernon and getting to see our athletes kick off the curtain raiser for Atlanta. You're right. You're right. Correct. Let's segue into next weekend, Charlotte Ruggerfest. So another opportunity to kind of kick the rust off for e-GRL squads down there. Mike, who are we going to see down there?
Well, so Morris will be there. West Carroll, North Bay, Wando.
Miami's.
Yep, one of the Wahinis and Charlotte. I think those are the teams that are headed down. I don't think any of the other groups are planning on it.
That'll be kind of a precursor to the e-GRL season, which I think will be pretty exciting to see.
Morris plays the Wahinis. That's a cross-divisional game. That game counts for something.
Right.
So if both of those teams wind up vying for the 4th spot, let's say, of the playoffs, that game could be a deciding factor. So I think those two teams are going to take it seriously. I think the same thing is going to be when potentially West Carroll plays Charlotte.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're in the same bracket, but they could be. I think North Bay is in the other bracket, so I don't think they'll get any cross-divisional games. But I do think for Jeff, it'll be a good indicator of where his team's at. I know he was sort of going into it as I'm not really sure what I've got. You know, I'm taking over this team now again this year and sort of see where that goes. But I think it'll be a good indicator for him.
Yeah, interesting. You know, I've been to this tournament before, and it's really well run, well done. Hats off to Carolina Rugby. All the more looking forward to getting down to Charlotte and putting the teams to work down there. Anyway, let's wrap it up. We've actually got a spaghetti dinner fundraiser to attend to at our local Moose Lodge, 541 for the girls team. So looking forward to seeing you chaps over there for some pasta and libations, and go Eagles.
Thank you for listening to episodes from the Garage, the official, unofficial voice of the Elite Girls Rugby League. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Elite Girls Rugby League and follow us on Instagram at Elite Girls Rugby. Special thanks to our producers, Team O'Brien, Team Chef, Cameraman, and Guy Who Knows a Guy, Primo, the cold and flu season for bringing out the depth in Mike's voice, and of course our wives and daughters who entertain our crazy ideas and continue to associate with us respectively.
I am Iron Man.